weiß Bescheid. Nintendo.
Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast on the planet. Prepare to reevaluate everything you've been taught.
I've been having this nagging thought recently, and it's going from the mental state of being a normie, I guess you want to say, if we're going to start using labels, might as well for the sake of this conversation, to being a conspiracy theorist. Oh, the devil. To sort of coming back to the middle ground. I mean, it's a shame to say that normies are completely on one side of the spectrum and conspiracy theorists are on the complete other side of the spectrum. Of course, I'm talking about those living in the extremes. Critical thinkers live happily somewhere in the middle. But I was listening to the radio and I heard something that made me laugh. Which was like the nail in the coffin, being like, fuck, just get this podcast out, talk about this, address this. You can't be the only one seeing this. And they had said that if you invest in cryptocurrency, you're more likely to be a narcissist. And it went on to say other things like criminal tendencies and wet the bed till you were 10. The article just went on and on and on about all these negative things. And I thought to myself, this is fascinating. Because when it comes to currency, when it comes to money, my personal view of it is the whole thing is an illusion. We spend our time hunting down these dollars which mean absolutely nothing, other than the prowess they give us by feeling comfortable that we can buy things. So you trade your hours for dollars, and your dollars for things. But nobody really understands or talks about why we agree to what we agree to on the dollar amount. It's never really been a topic of conversation. I mean, a lot of us are very aware that it used to be the gold back standard, the gold dollar, and that it turned into the fiat currency system overnight. And nobody really batted an eye because the television, the talking head said this is just what it is. Everything looked the same. Nothing's the same. Fiat stands for an agreement, agreed upon. Therefore, the only thing money has any value to, intrinsic value to, or anything like that, is the fact that you agree to it and I agree to it. That's it. So all of the money that we're hunting is imaginary. It means nothing. But it means everything because we all agree that it does. But eventually that's going to start collapsing because people are becoming more and more aware of the financial system and how it's collapsing. So I look at this and this is something that people could be afraid of. And conspiracy theorists can run rampant with it. They can live in the fear and the knowledge and have I invested enough? And then when they start thinking like, if I've overinvested, what if this is wrong? What if it collapses, right? So now you're sort of, even as a conspiracy theorist mind, an opener mind. I'm running on low sleep, but that's okay. You live in a sort of state of panic. Now, as a completely non-conspiracy theory mind, you listen to that article and you're like, yeah, everyone that invests in Bitcoin, anyone that talks about Bitcoin, anyone that I know that mentions anything about Bitcoin fucking pissed the bed until they were 10, blah, 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 or 20, whatever. Or maybe they're just standing on the edge of it peeing on it right now because they're crazy. Because who knows what those crazy Bitcoin investors will do. But the reality is, as it stands with all of the evidence that I have, looking over all of the information that I can, there is a future coming where they're going cashless. And Bitcoin and crypto and all this stuff, you can say whatever you want to say about it. We're going cashless. It's going to be an entire tap society. How many of you right now have a watch on your wrist that you just tap a machine in a store and you walk out with whatever you want? There's no money involved. It's just walkie, tappy, smashy, tatchy. Have a good time. Take your potato chips and get out of here. We're already moving in this direction. So the confusion adds all of this to it. What's Bitcoin? What's Chainlink? What's the blockchain? What's all of these things? What's Loopring? What do these things do? Every single time I hear about a new crypto, there's 10,000 of them that have died, and everyone's got an opinion. So we're sitting here in this reality fighting over the dumb thing that doesn't exist, i.e. money. We're also fighting over where it goes, what it's going to become, what it is right now. And any way you look at it, any way you slice it, there's something to be upset about, worried about, in fear of with regards to finance. And that's one thing. One thing. Let's talk about Ukraine. Ukraine was, anyone that believes the news, anyone that's on that side of the spectrum, the normies, I'm just saying it. I know I'm not trying to be harsh. Normies, fun term. These guys believe that Russia's terrible and they live in fear. I've heard this story that, well, if they drop a nuclear bomb, pop, 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 and a lot of us know that there's no such thing as nuclear bombs, and some of us don't know that, which is another point of contention that we could fight over. But they say if they drop a nuclear bomb, the radioactive fallout will kill everybody over here in North America within 7 years. Something to be afraid of. Right? And then now the people that are conspiracy minded would say it's not going on and nothing's happening. I'm getting pissed off at the media for saying all this dumb shit. How are you falling for this? Right? And when you look at it this way, I mean, even though I wasn't Tucker Carlson last night. Not last night, but I just saw a clip of him at some point talking about Russia. And he goes, and what if I did support Russia? What if I did support Putin? And I do. And I'm like, look at this shit. This is on Fox News. That kind of thing right there, if you just said, I support no vax, if you said that anywhere that wasn't pre-planned, you were wiped out. I've been banned from Twitter for life. Unless, of course, Elon Musk takes it. But I'm not allowed to have an opinion, right? And primarily, you guys know as well as I do that this whole show is all about coming to grips with things, seeing things, becoming happier, freeing your mind of the bullshit. But what I'm seeing more and more in a lot of things is one decision, one side, one thought process. The normies all have the opinion they're told to have. And anyone that has the ability to free think, for the most part, is seeing a different version of the story. But they're also seeing it through the tint of their own, the tint of their own life. So it's like learning a new language before. I've spoken about this before. You relate back to what you knew. So when you see all this new, supposedly supposed to be liberating information, we get angry about it. There's a lot of people that are still angry about it. And you'll hear too a lot of the time people talking about money. It's money. Follow the money. The money is the root of all of this. Follow the money. The money is just another piece of the pie. It's not the core root of the problem. It's not the thing. Money is it's just in here, right? Money, much like air, means nothing until you don't have any, basically. Nobody's worried about air. People are worried about money because we have to trade something for it. Air, free, no problem. Until it isn't, until they make you wear a face diaper, right? Then we start getting pissed off about our air. We understand how free it is. Now, back to what I was talking about. I'm hoping to be very flowy with this one. I know I jump all over the place, but I like the idea of flowing through with this one. This is a good idea. So if money's not the root, which it really isn't. I mean, I see memes nowadays talking about how the Americas have printed massive, massive amounts of money, and they have, right? But it's no longer about printing money. Nobody's carrying around briefcases full of cash. It's just a matter of pumping up numbers on a screen. That's all inflation is now. Oh, you want $10 billion? Boop, boop. There it is. It's in your account. Where'd it come from? Nobody fucking knows. Nobody cares. We just have this machine that says you can add money to these accounts. Here you go. What's money? Money's just numbers on a screen. And inflation is theft, and people don't talk about that. People aren't quite prepared yet to talk about how inflation is theft. And kind of on a side note, if you guys are thinking about getting a car or getting that thing or doing that thing, remember right now that when you do that, and say you buy a $40,000 car right now, you're locked into that price. Right? So even though it may seem like a lot right now, 5 years from now, inflation's going insane. So a $40,000 car today, 5 years from now, that $40,000 car is going to be 60. Just think about this as like a sporting contract. Sometimes you'll pay a player $5 million over 5 years, which seems absurd at the beginning, but at the end, this all-star elite player is on a 5 year or is only playing for $5 million a year. Meanwhile, everybody else is getting paid 7.8. So, I mean, a sporting contract is a microcosm of inflation. So whatever you buy now, you're locking in that price when inflation goes nuts, and it's going to. And typically when inflation goes up, your earning capacity and your power goes up. For those that aren't necessarily working 9 to 5, for somebody like me, for my coaching or what have you, like I'm going to have to raise the prices because my cost of living is going up, substantially going up. I'm not changing anything. I'm not changing my diet. I'm not changing my location. But, you know, these things are oh, by the way, we're adding this. Oh, you want that? This is going to cost you extra. Everything's extra. Everything. Gas, come on, these guys. In America, you guys are paying $4 or $5 a gallon. In Canada, we're paying close to $8. I don't even know what they're paying in Britain. But it's crazy. So inflation is this theft tool that if I go back to if you're in the idea of buying something now, do it. Because prices aren't going to come down and you're locking in the price that you're getting. You know, this isn't financial advice. If you soundbite any of this episode, you must soundbite all of it. This is all one big context. So now back to what I was talking about. If we sit here and think to ourselves from the normie to the conspiracy theorist mind, and we realize that money isn't what they're doing. They're not hunting money. They're not doing this for the money. Then what left? What's left? Things we aren't allowed to talk about, first of all. Because the more we're distracted with this bullshit, the less we're looking at other things. Answers, truths, actual, livable, tangible truths. It's hard for us to find those. And energy. How many movies have you seen where, you know, the whole purpose of this is just a human battery farm where they're sucking our energy out? And if you're a normie, you're afraid of everything on TV. And if you're a conspiracy theorist, you're angry at everything, both low vibrational frequencies. And if we keep doing this and think about this too, like even in your dreams, you know, what are nightmares? That's you beating yourself up in your own reality for what? For what purpose? You know, oh, it was something I ate, they'll say. I don't think so. I think it comes from not living your purpose. I think it comes from you being pissed off at yourself during the day and taking it out on yourself at night, your subconscious. Because, I mean, really, we don't even know the difference between our conscious and our subconscious. Just bullshit stories that we think that we know. So if you're upset, depressed, anxiety, even if you're a complete free thinker, and I'm just throwing around random terms. I'm not, everybody can get offended by everything. Normie, free thinker, whatever. I don't know how else to describe that shit, but if you're angry, and I see a lot of quote unquote conspiracy theorists being angry, and I myself was one. I was like, how could you guys not see this? This is madness. And that's all part of waking up. It's all part of what you're supposed to go through. You know, I'm at the stage of the game right now where I see things, I see an even broader picture than I initially saw, where I'm not going to worry about money. I'm not going to worry about the war in Ukraine. I don't give a shit. It's all some sort of distractionary narrative. So when you sit back with that kind of calm confidence, you look around you and things change. Things naturally change. The universe naturally works out for you because we're led to believe that nothing is supposed to work out for us. We're led to believe that we have to fight tooth and nail for absolutely everything we have, when in reality, If you think that's true, then you're going to be fighting tooth and nail. If you say to yourself, I got this, I got me, I got the universe has me, I am one and the same with all of this, and then you can go on with all the woo-woo juju that you want, right? Because it's up to you to decide these things, right? Even your own mind says you can't say that stuff because that's not true. That's not reality. When in fact, reality is exactly what you make it. So if you decide that you're not going to vibe low, if you decide that no matter what they tell you, it doesn't fucking matter. If you decide that I don't want to believe the news and I don't want to believe the conspiracies, because I fully believe too that the conspiracies that they allow us to talk about, quote unquote, or that everyone's up in arms about, they're all bullshit too. Prime example, COVID. I think there was a flu. I think there was a sickness. I think all of us have been sick the whole time. I think everything that we eat makes us sick. Right? There's this new one now. They're talking about fucking snake venom or some bullshit. I caught a bit of it, and I can't watch the news now, ladies and gentlemen, because I don't care. I can glance at it, but I laugh. And I can't listen to conspiracies now because I can glance at them and I can laugh. Right? There's this one. It's called something about the water, and it's all over Google. If it were real, why would it be on Google when everything else has been pulled down? Oh, well, it's coming down before. And you see these posts too. Watch this before they pull it down. Fear, scarcity, blah, blah, blah. Right? We've been tricked. The conspiracy theorists have been tricked. And I'm not saying don't be a conspiracy theorist because I live in this world and I love it. Except it's different. It's not a matter of being in full-blown panic and having to teach everybody something. It's more a matter of understanding your role in what's going on, understanding your position and where you need to be to get done what you need to get done to have the ultimate experience as to why we're here. Right? That's even something that we're not allowed to talk about. Birth, death. Everyone's like, no, death is permanent. Right? It's, hey, you're dead, you're dead. There's nothing to it. You're dead, you're dead. A lot of people ask, where do we go after we die? Not many people ask, where did we come from? And there's a ton of theories on that. And that's kind of stuff that I like. I like talking about that stuff. I like guessing. I like soul contracts. I like asking questions that are all high vibe, high energy. This COVID thing, and like I was saying before, the COVID narrative, I don't believe any of the numbers, as I'm sure most of you don't believe the numbers. People were dropping dead in the streets. Remember that? That's how it started. Then it came from a lab in Wuhan. It came from bat soup. Oh my fucking God. The story changes, and the normers will say, well, it's supposed to change. And then the normers will say, trust the science, it's permanent. But what if the science changes? The science doesn't change. But what about the story? Oh, the story changes. So you see how people sit on their high horse and be like, I'm self-righteous. I know what's best. And yet there you are, angry, vibrating lower. And if you're a free thinker, quote unquote conspiracy theorist, the numbers that they put out with that too, right? I can't believe that. They're like, all of these people died from the vaccine. What I know and what I can see and what I can taste and touch and smell is that I lost some friends that didn't get surgeries because the hospitals were playing a game, the narrative game. And I know more people that died or that got even sicker from lack of emergencies, not emergency surgery, but lack of heart surgeries, cancer surgeries, surgeries that were planned that the hospital said no to because of COVID. I know people that died more from that than either the vaccine or from COVID. So if you think about a fear trigger, COVID for the normies was the fear trigger. Oh my God, we're all going to die. Cancel sports. Oh shit. And now think about the vaccine. Oh my God, you're going to die from the vaccine. This is the conspiracy theorists. It's the same story, only flipped. So now those that are quote unquote controlling the narrative have you at either end. Either you see it one way and you're afraid of this bullshit, or you see it another way and you're afraid of this bullshit or angry about this bullshit. It's the same frequency. But when you do enough hunting, searching, finding, you realize that you can let go of all this stuff. You realize that absolutely everything on either side of any spectrum here, all of it has to do with the same thing. It's like being mad at the right side of the ball and then being mad at the left side of the ball. And then realizing that it's all one ball that just bounces and is. And your perception of the ball is the only thing that kind of makes you upset one way or the other. It's not new information. There is no new information. Every single thing that we could ever possibly learn is designed to make us think or feel something until we keep thinking and feeling it. And then we break free from even that. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can break free from normal think. You can break free from the brainwashing. But remember, you're only going into another layer of the brainwashing when you become a conspiracy theorist and when you become a free thinker. Because that's also contrived. The first layer of that is contrived. Right? There's a layer beyond that that says, I don't believe any of this, and I'm now able to freely ask a lot of questions that may or may not have anything to do with anything, but that contribute to a grander awareness of self, of experience, and happiness. And the whole world changes when you vibe higher. That's not even something that I think that's ringing through. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that. I think that rang through. Okay. Now on that note, I've got a lot of new settings here. We've upgraded the internet, so we've got a blistering fast internet. I've upgraded the phones. This phone is still attached to the Rodecaster, which has never happened before because I had the other phone attached to the Rodecaster, which is what I do the majority of my recording on. But that was a call coming through, which is me learning a new thing. Okay, I've got to change that so it doesn't happen again. How embarrassing. Look at me making a mistake. Oh, well, we all lived through it. Phones ring. Also, that though, however, is how you can get on the show. We can do a straight up live on the show. Well, it wouldn't be live per se, but the old call in, the old beep beep. We're working on that too. We definitely want to have a call in sessions, whether it's through Discord or through something, live streaming, not even sure, but that's still in the works, still hunting this down because it's hard to do a live podcast when people listen to the podcast whenever they want to listen to them. I've been taken off track. Now back to what I was talking about. There's so much out there that doesn't involve us being either living in fear or being angry about something. And there's nothing to be afraid of. Remember this too, when it comes to death or dismemberment or anything like that. These are all the things that we think about. And when you're vibrating lower, you think of all the worst things that can happen to you. When you're vibrating higher, you see that the majority of this stuff isn't going to happen. And even if it does happen, it's an experience. It's all an experience. It's all something. Right. And when you hate yourself and when you're doing negative self-talk everywhere, you're like, I deserve all this bullshit. So why wouldn't this happen to me? But when you start vibrating a little bit higher, you start loving yourself a little bit more. Imagine how many companies in this world would just disappear if the world collectively woke up and individually loved each and every one of themselves. If everyone was all of a sudden instantly body positive, race positive, imagine we all just woke up and were like, I'm human. And I'm perfect. And that's the way it is. Right? No more war. Because we wouldn't fight. We wouldn't listen to the stories that the television's telling us. Go to war with these guys. These guys are doing that. No more fear. We wouldn't be fighting over bits of land. We wouldn't be scared, insecure, jealous. These are all human emotions, and these are all things that, honestly, we get the honor and privilege of living through. And if you decide for yourself that you really do want to step up and change the way you view, how you view, what you view around you and your world and internal, external, all that sort of stuff, you have the opportunity to do that. You just have to say to yourself that, shit, the story that I've been telling myself this far has legitimately been bullshit. And for me to get to where I need to be mentally, I have to start talking to myself on a better note. I have to start understanding that there's so much more to me, to the way I think, to the way I perceive, to the way I do things than ever before. And I can legitimately achieve anything I've ever set my mind out to. So why do I set my mind out to limitations, fear, negativity? Basically because we've been programmed to. But you can break free from that. And like I said, your first breakthrough is going from quote unquote watching television and normal speak to seeing the bigger picture. There's a breakthrough after that, and there's one more after that will leave as a surprise. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
Thank you for listening to today's Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag MMA and Mental Mastery Alliance. Want more motivation? Be sure to follow online on Instagram at Mental Mastery Alliance and on Facebook at Mental Mastery Alliance. And remember, your perception creates your reality. Make it a great day.
You got it, Pontiac.